To daily financial news, the first trading day of 2020. Sorry if you were watching this earlier and it cut out. We had a internet malfunction or whatever you want to call it. So the topic goes through this time uninterrupted. So first and foremost, thank you for watching. Do me a favor, if you like these daily financial news, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button so you get notified when I start one of these live sessions. So as we get off, to talking about this market, the first thing we got to realize is first day starts out okay. I was a little bit nervous heading into the end of the year with the huge melt up or Santa Claus rally or whatever you want to call it. That the first couple of days could just have some natural selling, right? Where folks wanted to delay taxes and didn't want to take capital gains in the end of December and thus move it to January. So I was a little nervous. The first 2 days might be a little choppy. But at least early indications, first couple hours of tradings, that's not manifesting itself with a 100-point rally and again hitting some new highs. But I do have some words of caution. This rally, first off, we called it, right? We talked about all the good things that were kind of messing with the economy, kind of evaporating in October, November, and we expected the end of the year to be strong, and it was. But realize at some point, we are going to have earnings growth. The earnings growth needs to pick up and to really match what's going on. And it's too early to tell which way this is going to go. Really, what I'm looking for is just those early signs that the global slowdown we suffered in the summer of last year is abating. I think, again, we've had signs, right? We've had this, idea of the phase one trade deal, for example, being the big one that took the longest being done with expectations, I believe, to sign on the 15th. So, we will see, if that really moves forward. It's interesting. Some numbers now are coming out about the trade war, kind of the impact to both the U.S. and China. And I jotted a few of them down. First off, both countries' GDPs slowed, right? Gross domestic product. It's kind of the largest kind of tracker of an economy. It's like throw everything in a bucket and see what's what. But the fact is the trade war, at least at the GDP level, was good for neither country, as you would expect, right? It's an economic war or trade war. Interestingly enough, manufacturing slowed for both countries. I don't know that I would have guessed that. I guess I would have thought maybe manufacturing in the U.S. picked up. But again, the trade war came out of nowhere. Companies and businesses didn't have a chance to kind of invest ahead of it, like they saw it coming. So maybe that's to be expected. On the opposite side, right, those were kind of two negatives, right? GDP slowed, manufacturing slowed. It looks like retail sales, again, you have to be able to trust the numbers, but again, at least at that level, retail sales were strong in both countries, which is interesting because that tells me the consumers, which are the drivers of retail sales, they were not too worried, right? They kept on spending. It wasn't like they said, "Oh my God, this is going to go on for a decade. Let me, save my money under my mattress or in a bank or whatever it is," which could have been an outcome, right? That could have happened. But it looks like with strong retail sales, again, in both countries, it's interesting. And both countries' stock market rallied, right? Neither country's stock market took a hit because of this year, it's now in the year two of a trade war. So I found that pretty interesting. I do think if we get this thing signed and there's real progress on the bigger agreement, that it helps both countries going forward, but we shall see. Again, though, earnings need to start growing. I'm looking for signs that the global economy, including Europe, including all of Asia, Latin America, South America, are all improving. Because I haven't seen one yet, but it is probably too early to tell. Next up, did you know that Seattle raised minimum wage to $15? Back in, I think it was 2014, they set a goal by 2021 to have the minimum wage at $15. That's interesting, right? So next year it'll be $15, at fast food joints and everywhere, which is, if you're a kid in high school or college and you had a job like that, that's pretty awesome. I think I was paid I think my first minimum wage job was like 285 or something. I was under $3. It was pretty crazy. So to think it's $15 now, that's full time. That's 30 grand a year, right? So pretty crazy. But it looks like they've had some reports on what happened in Seattle, and really isn't declaring good or bad. It's just, hey, with a higher minimum wage, they have to raise prices. They called out a couple of fast food joints, burger joints, local Seattle joints. Um, a couple of them just said in the past they were able to absorb, food costs raises, but these minimum wage hikes, again, for all of their employees, they had to raise the price of everything. So again, a $15 minimum wage hike looks like it could lead to inflation, which frankly might be okay, right? If we can pull up people from the bottom into the middle class, maybe that's a cost we should all bear. I don't know. The other thing is, some people moved out of Seattle because this was a very Seattle metro decision. So there were some restaurants. Again, it was restaurants, two of them in this case, decided to move locations outside of Seattle border to, I guess, get around this minimum wage hike. So that was pretty interesting. But again, it'll be interesting because I know more and more people are talking about taking minimum wage to this number 15. Just realize that could be the spark that brings inflation. And again, inflation by itself is not necessarily bad or good. It will hurt savers, but maybe that's worth it because we haven't. People are targeting 2% inflation with the Fed, so we will see what's going on. Next up, something I'm particularly passionate about, obviously, is real estate. And I actually read an article that goes to Tom Ferry's quote. He talked about Tom Ferry is an interview I did on this channel. I think it was on the 15th of December. And right at the end, he talked about 2020 being bananas for real estate. And I just like saying bananas. It's kind of crazy. But anyways, he talked about real estate being on fire in 2020. And this article basically says Tom Ferry is right. He's saying that the spring selling season, which usually kicks off in April, has already started, right? It started in January. And he brought up some interesting facts. Last year, January was the highest average views per house. There's record low inventory across the board. And this is something we're likely going to keep saying until builders catch up. But put these numbers in context. In November, which is the last full month we have numbers for currently, inventory nationally was down 9.5%. So round it to 10%. That's pretty scary. But then below 200K, which they call affordable, was down 16.5%. That's crazy. And I believe we're in a very strong economy that gets stronger in 2020. We have low interest rates. We have a strong economy. We have a whole set of buyers, first-time buyers getting ready to get off the sidelines, right? Millennials, as they're said. Earlier, I've reported about millennials being the big driver of 20 and 21, right? 2020, 2021. It's coming. And I'm trying to figure out what all of this means. If January is the new April, right? We're going to get busy. We need to figure out what's going on. Builders need to step up and building affordable homes, not McMansions. So pretty interesting. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is a tip. A lot of us have New Year's resolutions, and I can tell you, with any goal that I've ever set, something that I've done that worked for me is I tried to figure out what was something I could do towards that goal every day for 15 days. Basically, I had to make it a habit. So if I could find a way to do something every day towards that goal for 15 days straight, is a good chance I could make it a habit. And then once a habit, it's no longer forgotten or easily removed. So if you have a goal of losing weight, go to the gym 15 days in a row, eat better for 15 days in a row. If you have a goal for saving money or paying off debt or whatever it is, do something, break that goal down into little chunks and get after it, once a day. Don't make it a monthly or weekly thing. In the beginning, you've got to make it a habit. And that is something that has worked for me over the years. So again, if you're still watching this and you haven't subscribed, what's up? Make sure you subscribe, hit that like button. And again, We will be back tomorrow talking about the daily financial news. All right, take care. Thanks.